delighted to be joined today by Pete Oliver. He's General Manager at Axess AG. So Pete, thanks so much for being with us today. Obviously, topical point of the last few months has unfortunately been the fraud and ticket scamming that we saw at the Champions League in Paris. Obviously, this is something that Axess AG is working very hard on, and to eradicate, and at the same time enhance the fan sort of experience and security. So perhaps you can just tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, pleased to be here. Yeah, so it's a big subject, and I guess it's become more prominent since lockdown and the pandemic, principally because people now need, whatever they're doing socially, whether it's going to a sporting event, whether it's going to a visitor attraction, most people now need to do that in advance. Originally because of capacity constraints, but I think we've just got into the habit of wanting to have that certainty in our planning. So from a broader subject, I guess we're talking about the entire customer experience and making that as smooth and as seamless as possible. And an element of that, obviously, as you mentioned, Katie, is the ticket scamming, scalping, being able to defraud ticket sales and so on. And that has become an issue significantly in sport over the years. But from a technology perspective, there are technologies not just at the disposal of Axess, but across the board that can help to address these issues. And really, it's all about sort of digitizing the entire process. It's convenient for the customer to buy the ticket online in advance, that I've just mentioned. It's become people's habit to do so. And if you buy online and you download a digital ticket, then it's much more difficult to defraud the process than if you've got a traditional paper ticket. It's not entirely impossible, because you can still copy a ticket, you can still photocopy a digital ticket, but there are techniques that you can use to even avoid that, particularly the ability then to download a ticket into your digital wallet. And once it's in the wallet, it's not copyable. So people are probably familiar with blockchain technology and the ability to keep a complete trace on the transaction process from one person to another. So that ability to make sure that it is the legitimate ticket. And some of the vendors, one to be named would be Secutix's Tix and Go, provides an app with blockchain technology included, so that you download the ticket into your digital wallet. And I mean, if you think about it practically, you might give up a paper ticket, you might get your paper ticket photocopied, but you're not going to give up your mobile phone. Other ways of dealing with the same issue, Ticketmaster have the concept of a revolving barcode. So similar principle, you download the ticket into your digital wallet, but that barcode will change every 15-20 seconds. So there's no point in trying to take a copy of that barcode, because before you get into the game, that barcode will have changed again, and the photocopy will become invalid. So where do Axess fit into that? Well, we are at the scanning end of the ticket, so we're not actually producing the ticket itself, but we are providing the reading of that ticket. And it's really important that you can do that in a very efficient way. You don't want to create queues at the entry gates, which is what we saw in Paris. So you need a mechanism that has the ability to read different ticket types, whether that's a digital ticket or whether it's a barcoded ticket. We need that ability. There's a technology called NFC, which is near-side communication, and the ability. Basically, these days, you need a reader that has both capabilities, that allows different types of ticket to be entered very, very quickly. The alternative, and perhaps what was used to a degree in Paris, are handheld scanners. And handheld scanners are more limited. They're limited by the fact that you've got to have a person involved. the ticket or the phone has to be handed over and scanned, and that the entire process is a lot slower. So if we look at it from a perspective of self-service, if the ultimate customer journey is really slick, where you can buy the ticket online, you can download it to your own mobile phone, and then you go up to the automated doorman and you can scan yourself in, and that entire process is really quick, to the point where we can do between 12 and 1,500 people per hour per gate. So that speed of ingress to the venue is very quick. And by the way, that has an impact from a revenue point of view as well, because if you've got people getting into the stadium that much more quickly, they're not queuing up outside, and they're more likely to spend once they're in the stadium. So there is a customer service element to it, there's a security element to it, and there's a revenue opportunity as well.
And I should imagine, obviously, another headache coming out of the pandemic has been, staffing levels, especially sort of in the hospitality, events, sports sector, are at an all-time low, with everyone sort of, struggling to try and get the staffing levels back. And then obviously fans want a contactless, frictionless experience. I should imagine this whole like automated doorman that you're talking about, it covers all those, the fan sort of feeling more secure in the space as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in a typical football stadium, it requires a significant army of people to just simply access people into the stadium. Depending on the size, it could be anywhere from 60 to 100 people just scanning you into the stadium. And because they are anchored to that position, then they can't be used very much in a meet and greet role. So if people have got issues, even though there are lots of staff there, it's difficult to get them to do anything else because they're scanning them into the stadium. Much better to have an automated process, and then the available people that you have got can be used, to answer queries and direct people into the right locations. But as you say, across the board in hospitality, there is just this difficulty in getting the right numbers of staff to do that in the first place. So anything you can do to ease it is definitely a benefit. I think we're all becoming very used to it now. I mean, you even see it in your supermarkets, whereas you'd have an army of checkout people, helping you check your goods out the supermarket. That is now certainly in part, and in many cases, across the board, replaced by automated checkout staff. So it's a process that we are all becoming more and more familiar with.
And I suppose taking it a step further, that sort of automation and the technology piece, you can, now, it's very, when you go to an event, you'll get a push notification saying, don't forget to buy your merchandise, or make sure you leave by gate A or whatever. But how can that deliver more on, even more sort of an experience and indeed revenue generation?
Yeah, I think a stadium or an arena is a good example of a sort of an ecosystem, whereby if you have the ability to connect all the parts together, then you can optimize the customer's experience, and also you can use it to generate incremental revenues at the same time. And the entry point into a stadium is a good trigger point for that communication. You don't want to be sending people messages when you don't know where they are, but if you know they're in the stadium, then you can encourage them for early bird half price drinks and food and that sort of thing. So although access isn't the entire solution, it is a vital part of that ecosystem, because it gives you the ability, as you say, to do things like trigger notifications. And I should say that in this entire system, the customer data is becoming more and more important as time goes on. And obviously with digital tickets and the fact that you have to register with your email address in the first instance, we are giving the club the ability to communicate on a very personal and relevant level to each type of supporter. Each demographic of the support base can receive their own message and their own offer, and so on and so forth. So yes, it is a vital component in that ecosystem.
And then sort of looking forward, are there any particular innovations or, have you, I know Axess, for example, works in other sectors that just rather than sort of sports and entertainment. So is there anything that you've seen in other sectors that, you think could be well utilised in the sports and entertainment arena?
Yeah, I mean, they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And certainly through the pandemic, we've seen a real acceleration in the use of technology. And I don't think the hospitality or the sports environment is any different. There has been an acceleration of the use of technology. Axess, for example, a year or so ago, we introduced the ability to scan COVID cards into the entry gates as well. So although it was only short-lived for a period of time, there was that ability to scan your COVID pass at the same time as scanning your ticket. We've done integrations with things like facial recognition, so gives up the need to be able to identify yourself at all. It's obviously used in airports and passport controls and that sort of thing, but that type of technology is now available on entry into a venue. So you don't have to show your ticket, you just show your fingerprint or your face, and that permits entry. So those types of technology are becoming more and more available. And I think something that you'll see probably extend over the next few years is this sort of contactless supermarket capability within a stadium as well. So, in the same way as you enter the stadium, you might enter the shop, you might do your shopping, you don't need to get a bag or a basket, you don't need to check out, you just take the goods out of the shop and it gets debited from your account on leaving. And again, Axess is a component in that ecosystem because it has the ability to identify the person as it goes into the venue. So yeah, there's lots and lots of innovation, I think, that is highly relevant to the sports stadium marketplace. I think it's testimony to Axess's background in ski, that if you can imagine that in the ski marketplace, it is the integration of all elements on the mountain, from the cafes to the lifts to the ticket office. And with that experience, Axess doesn't only provide the hardware, but it provides the scanning readers, the electronics, it provides the software, and has that knowledge and experience in joining up all of these component parts.
So but when it comes to final thoughts, I think I picked up there. So is it right that sort of one of Axess's perhaps USPs is the fact that you do actually manufacture all the hardware, all the software in-house? It's not that you are, sort of rebranding or white labeling someone else's product.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, there are components that we buy in, any electronic components, but we are the manufacturer of the gates. We design and manufacture the readers, and we provide all of the integration software ourselves. And in the ski marketplace, we go one step further. We provide the ticketing software as well. The ticketing is slightly different to in football stadia, so we work with a range of partners in sports stadia. But yes, I think it's that inherent knowledge of all elements of it and the ability to deliver most of those components that stand us apart from our competitors.
Well, fantastic, Pete. You've been a revelation with all that information, and obviously we'll make sure all the information on Axess is available through the website. And keep us posted on all the developments coming down the line.
Yeah, we will do. It's exciting times at the moment, I have to say. It's a very exciting marketplace to be working in.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Pete.
Okay. Cheerio, Katie. Bye-bye.